One's life begins to change when their desires transform into concrete actions. You're listening to the Desire to Be podcast, where your desires for your life and relationships become your mastery. I'm your host, Devora Goldberg, and thank you for joining. Two sisters, one brand. Two sisters, a friendship with business. Two sisters making a difference in our world in their special way, empowering women to feel and look their best. Fringe Boutique was founded by two sisters, Tova and Shira, who sought autonomy when they became both single moms in the same year. This motivated them to create an atmosphere that empowers women from inside and out. Fringe encourages shoppers to dress to express, not to impress. Fringe Boutique is also a celebration of female entrepreneurs. Their clothing line is personal curated collection from the best of modest brands out there. Tova and Shira, welcome to the show.
What a beautiful introduction.
Tova, start off by telling my audience how Fringe started.
Okay. 7 years ago, I live in Toronto, and 7 years ago, I was teaching in high school, and I did love it. Every day when I walked into the classroom, I got comments about my clothing and my fashion sense from both the faculty and the students. At that time, it was a little bit hard to come by modest clothing where there were one or two stores, but it was quite sparse. And I decided to go for it and reach out to brands and see if I can open a little boutique in my home. We started small, and from there, it really flourished.
Shira, tell my audience where you're located and how long your store has been in business in your location.
So I'm located in Hollywood, Florida, and I joined the business 3 years ago. During COVID, I lost my job. The company I worked for closed down, and I decided to drive to Toronto and bunk in with my sister. We were both single moms at the time, and I was bored. So I started, encouraging that we make reels together for modest fashion. And everyone was on their phones at the time because it was COVID. And we actually doubled Tova's sales during COVID time due to reels. And so when COVID started to end in Florida and I moved back to Florida, I was wondering what I should do for our occupation since my old occupation was no longer available. And Tova was like, well, you really helped Fringe thrive. And why don't you open up a Florida branch? And she welcomed me in. And now that's why we have two locations. And it is an honor to be part of it.
What would you say is the difference between Fringe Florida and Fringe Toronto?
So I would say that Florida has different weather, right? We don't have a winter. And we also have a different demographic. The community wants different type of clothing. So although the base of our clothing is the same, when we go to the buy-in show, we do choose kind of the base of the same things, but we're going to differ in climate choices, as well as we are a business that really solely caters to our community than what they ask for. And therefore, the clothing is going to reflect in that.
Right. What would you say motivates you on challenging days? Tova, let's start with you.
I think what motivates me most on challenging days, it's not all fun and games. At the beginning, we have a lot of motivation. Some of the fun parts are like choosing the clothing and traveling to get it. And then when it all comes, it can get quite overwhelming, all the demands. But personally, what motivates me is my community. I do feel like I have a community that learns to rely on me and what I bring for them. And if I just rest and don't continue, then they'll come in and they won't have something to buy. And I think that my sense of community really does motivate me going forward. And, one time I even tried, one summer I was a little bit in a funk and I wanted a break, and I sort of took a step back and I saw it reflecting in the results. And I realized no, I can't do this. I got to move on. I have a sense of responsibility here for my family, for my community. And that really keeps me going.
And how about you, Shira?
So my answer is a passion for fashion. I think that every business has its ups and downs. And if you don't have a passion for it, you're not going to be able to push through the difficult times. And, there's fun parts, as Tova said, with the fashion and choosing things for a community. But then there's bills and there's stocking and there's inventory and there's the grungy work and the not fun work. And if you don't have a passion for what you do, it's going to be hard to push through the things that are not so pleasant to work through.
Yeah. Anyone in fashion beauty industry has essentially an empowering role, right? Their customers will walk in and they'll walk out improved a different way. They'll be feeling more beautiful about themselves. And it's through your business. You get to provide this for them. Shira, what is that like for you?
I think this is like the most beautiful part of the business. And it's really what makes our job meaningful. I feel like fashion is not necessarily a product. I think that it's a way of helping people express themselves. And it's so much deeper than that. And you really get to connect to your customers and find out a way how to dress to express rather than impress. And we're not pushing product. We're trying to find the product that really matches the person and how they want to express themselves. And it's a beautiful part of the industry. And therefore, you don't feel like you're just selling a product. You're connecting to your customers. You're finding out what helps them sing, what helps them brighten up. I'm always telling my customers, I'm like, well, does this spark joy? They're like, oh, Marianne, or whatever her last name is. I'm like, yeah, I borrow the phrase from her, but does it spark joy? Does it help you light up inside? And that's what essentially keeps the customers coming back and also keep me going because, it's not simple, it's deep.
Yeah. And I can imagine also if someone comes in not only for clothing for themselves, but also for a specific occasion. So you're
Yeah.
matching up not only their personality, but how it's going to look in that environment. Tova, tell us about your philosophy about collaborating with other brands, especially female-oriented businesses.
Yes. Right when I started, this was something that I really wanted to incorporate in my business. I always have this attitude of we're better and stronger together. When I opened up my business 7 years ago, the way I started was through collaboration. I had this like little mini mall where I invited the other small businesses in Toronto to feature their brands as well. And that was my grand opening with these other women and other businesses. And it really flourished from there. And I believe that we really are stronger together. And in collaborating and helping each other, we can only gain.
Agreed. What would you say, Tova, other than serving the customer, how else would you say that the customer is the pivotal part of your business? I know Shira alluded to this slightly before. What would you say?
Yeah. I mean, really, without you, the customer, we wouldn't be. Like, we are here to service the customer, to make them feel good, to help fill their needs. And the relationship between us and the customer is really our center. And that's something that we keep in mind. And that's a philosophy that we go by every single day when we're on the floor, connecting to them, taking their requests and with customer service, not sweating the small stuff, dealing with people with kindness and compassion.
Love that. Shira, there are brands and businesses out there who give back either to the community or to charities. In what way does Fringe give back?
So in a unique way, I'll start with this, is a lot of brands and businesses out there right now are in the business of hiring influencers to help spread awareness of their brands. And in the way that Fringe tries to give back is instead of doing that, we look back and try to help small businesses that haven't yet grew to where we are and kind of collaborate with them instead to work in social media through photo shoots. And as Tova alluded before, networking goes so far. Collaboration helps each other grow rather than diminish each other. It's really important for Fringe to look back and help the people behind them because we started off so small with just a little dream and we grew and grew and grew. And it's really beautiful to reach back and look at the people still trying to grow. As well, it brings a level of authenticity because these are people who want to grow so badly in their social media or want to represent their name and their brand. So it comes through very strongly when representing like that rather than hiring. And I feel like this is a really beautiful method that we could do. As well as Tova and I both donate our overstock to Gama constantly, as well as donating little gift cards to different schools that are having, raffles or things like that. So there's different ways to give back to the community. But the part that has my heart is looking back towards small businesses or people who are trying to become influencers and are reaching out to collaborate with us through social media.
Yeah, I love that because you're lifting someone else up in the process. So
Yeah.
I noticed that when you opened up your store in Hollywood, you had someone doing a massage. So there was honoring their business and people coming in to purchase clothes as well. So that's a great way to collaborate together. Tova, as sisters in business, how do you guys complement each other with the strengths that each of you have?
Oh, wow. It's been so wonderful to incorporate Shira. I almost can't remember how I did it without her, honestly, for the first 4 years. Shira and I complement each other beautifully, thank God. I'm more of the big picture thinker, like the CEO. I come up with ideas, I can start it, I have a lot of the connections. And Shira is really, really good at small detail and really pushing through. I call her a unicorn. Like she could sprinkle her magic on anything and brighten it with her charm. And I think that the two together really complement each other. And again, it shines through and it's quite wonderful, our magic.
Love that. Shira, how did Fringe evolve from carrying other brands to creating a specific Fringe collection?
So, as we just alluded to, Tova is the bigger picture. She's always driving Fringe forward in the next business step. And she was just like, Shira, we have it in us. We must create. And since Fringe is a customer based business where we are always trying to service our customers, being on the floor, we heard what people wanted, what they needed. And we decided that if it's not there on the market, we got to create it. As well as sometimes there are things that we create that are on the market already, but they're unaffordable for the general customer. And we wanted to create it in a way that, the base customer could afford it easily. Or there is also something that's on the market, but you need to wear a shell or help to make it modest. So we would take an idea that everyone wants and try to make it modest. So those are the ways that kind of compelled us forward to create and start producing products that our customers need.
That's great. And that just shows how the customer is really the pivotal aspect, that you're listening. And if they're requesting something that doesn't exist, how amazing that you guys have the capacity to create it and make it your own for them.
For them.
Yeah.
The customer it's as Tova said, they're it. The customer, they're it.
Tova, you have a story about your Bubby and a necklace.
Yeah, we do. Firstly, our first launch of our brand was called Edith, the Edith collection, after my Bubby on my maternal side, my mother's side. It happens to be her yard site today. May her nefama have an aliyah. And when Bubby was into the war, she was a refugee and her family escaped through Switzerland, where she was in a DP camp where they taught her a trade, which was sewing and fashion. She went to the School of Art in Switzerland. And she always had a passion for fashion. She was sewing for her family, her friends, and she really brought that onto us. I'm going to defer to Shira for the story of the necklaces. It's quite wonderful.
Okay, so one night my mother had a dream and she dreamed that I should get this necklace that my Bubby had that no one really paid for themselves and would help me find my match, my husband. And she woke up and she's like, I got to get this necklace for Shira. She gave it to me as a way of having my Bubby's protection and maybe as a plus for finding my other one. And shortly after I put on the necklace, I actually met my husband in a very casual way, but it was the start of it. And I grew really attached to the necklace. And when it came time for my wedding, I knew that I want to take the necklace that I do and give it to my sister, Tova, and so that she would be able to find her match. And my husband knew that I was super attached to the necklace. So it would be bittersweet handing it over to my sister so she could have the same success and power that and connection that the necklace gave me, but also like bitter because I grew attached to it. When he remembered his mother passed away within the year, and his father gifted his mother this necklace to help her encourage her to fight chemo treatment one last time. And when he looked back at pictures of the necklace, he's like, oh my God, it's literally so similar to the necklace that you wore from your Bubby. So before the chuppah, I handed over the necklace to Tova. And after the chuppah, I got this necklace for my husband's mother that was super similar. And therefore, we both now wear this very similar necklace. And it has a story of tradition, of legacy, of sisterhood. And I think it's just a beautiful way to show kind of the core of our business, which is sisterhood, which is legacy, continuing our grandmother's passion for fashion and her way of survival, because we too opened up Fringe as a way of survival when we were single moms. And also the way that we incorporate our business in collaboration sense. We started it from a woman collaborative sense where we want to look back to the women around us and also uplift them. We want to look in a minor sense. We want to look to the women that are coming into our store and uplift them as well to express themselves, to dress express, not impress. That's our slogan. And these necklaces are really a tribute to that.
When are you selling a replica of that necklace in your store?
Not a bad idea.
The Edith necklace. Just saying.
I like it.
And Shira, if your Bubby would see your beautiful business thriving as it is now, what do you think she would tell you or offer as advice?
I was very close to my Bubby, and my Bubby had a crazy sense of emunah. And I think that what she would say is, God already decided you're Pranessa on Rosh Hashanah. He already decided how much you're going to make. Now, go out there, do your best, help dress these women, help uplift people, help collaborate, look back and help, and to be honest in your business, because nothing you do is going to change the outcome of how much Pranessa you're going to make. And her strong emunah was that.
Love that. And how about you, Tova?
I believe that she was always steadfast in her patience and her ability to be quiet and like humility when someone was like, talking or criticizing. And I find that I look up to her in that way. And when somebody comes and they're like angry or they're frustrated, I find that I look towards that and stay quiet and stay patient and find my compassion for the person in front of me to deal with the customers who are not always happy or, have issues. And I have my Bubby to look up to for that.
That's beautiful. You both have such a fundamental way how to bring your Bubby into your business, which makes it so much more authentic and real. Tova, tell my audience about your mission to help women heal and where that stemmed from.
Yeah, this is very near and dear to my heart. Every day, Shira and I, when we help women, they stand in front of the mirror. And I find that that's a very vulnerable place for a woman to be, staring at herself in front of the mirror. And, they're not always satisfied where they are. Everybody has their self-image that they're working on. Being that Shira and I built up our business when we were single, it was very empowering to build it up and have the courage and to see our success and our power and our light as women help influence other women and build them up. And I feel that I don't know exactly how yet, but I would love to bring this in not only in our business of fashion, but also help women in general in a space of healing and empowerment, whether that's with women's circles or groups or retreats. Me and Shira love to travel. I, for one, would love to be able to help women in a larger capacity, be able to shine their light and heal and find empowerment in ourselves.
I love that. Very, very forthcoming, very giving, not only to your customers, but even in their personal lives, not only in their dress. But I guess that also comes back to what you said in the beginning, where it's really dressing from the inside out, like complete healing, complete being. Mm-hmm. Shira, do you have any offer that you'd like to offer my listeners?
So whoever mentions Devorah's name and comes in saying we heard your podcast is going to get 10% off their next purchase.
Perfect. And that's for both your stores, both locations, right?
Both
Yeah.
locations.
For my listeners who want to shop your brand online, Tova, how can they do so?
So Shira and I both have websites. One is Canada-based and one is US-based. You can find us both on Instagram, fringe.toronto or Shira on Fringe. And there in the bio, you'll see our website and our email. And don't hesitate to reach out to us for questions, for collaboration opportunities, and just anything else you'd like to reach out to us for.
Perfect. On the Desire to Be podcast, I hone in on the personal desires of my guests to move to the next level, to bring out the greatness in themselves and really make a difference in this world. Shira, what would you say your desire is to be?
I have this dream that when women look in the mirror, they can see what is right rather than what is wrong. And I would love to, as Tova said, I would love to help women, look into the mirror and see what is right and what is wrong. That's all I can say.
Perfect. And Tova, how about you?
Yes, on the same thread as what Shira's saying, my desire is to be able to grow Fringe, first of all, internationally, if we can. Yeah, we would love to do that and our brand and keep growing it, but also to be able to make Fringe a space for women to express themselves, not only in fashion, but also in other programs as well. These are some dreams that we have, just to keep expanding the space for women to be part of this beautiful, amazing club of acceptance, collaboration, expression, and empowerment.
So much more than fashion.
So much more.
Thank you both for coming on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your insight and the story behind your brand and how you help women on a very, very real way. May your Bubby's neshama have an aliyah. May she have tremendous nachas from your business and everything that you do, and a lot of success to both of you. Ah, what a great episode. Thank you for being here. I truly, truly appreciate you. I'd love for you to tap 5 stars and let me know what resonated. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn under my name, Devorah Goldberg. That's where I give you more content. That's where we're able to engage even further. Until next episode, stay safe and be well.